Hello, welcome back. Good evening, I should say. Oh, as that car just locks itself. It's dicky dark out here. I have been graced with the presence of this Citroen. You just saw there, locking itself. Good job, the key's in my pocket. That car belongs to my mum, and it's got a horrible noise. Pretty sure I already know what it is. But let's take a listen anyway, and then let's get stuck into trying to fix it. Right, so we are in now. I'm going to try and get this on video. It's an absolute horrific noise. I'll flip the camera around so you can see. So there we go. Right, in neutral. So you can hear a little bit of a chattery noise there, hopefully. Now, it doesn't sound too horrific there, but when I press the clutch, it goes away, and it kind of highlights how bad that noise is. But it gets better, because if I just drive forward and back a little bit, there, that noise. Now, it's ridiculous. I'm going to have to switch it off because that is ridiculous. I've been around cars long enough to know that that's not a pretty noise. So, noise goes away when you press the clutch. That means it's definitely something related to the clutch or the gearbox. At first I thought it was the clutch release bearing. However, I did take the car for a little drive the other day, and as soon as you get past about 10 mile an hour, the gearbox sounds like a hippo trying to chew a bulldozer. It is absolutely ridiculously noisy. So my gut feeling is it's a gearbox fault. They're fairly common on these. It's a 5-speed box. So it is what it is. Either it's absolutely catastrophic failure of the release bearing, the clutch, or maybe the dual mass flywheel. But more likely, I think we're looking at something internal in the gearbox. Gearbox bearings seem to be common. So either way, if it's clutch or the gearbox needs to come out. Which ordinarily probably wouldn't be too bad if this was a, I don't know, a Peugeot 207 or a Citroen DS3 or something like that. But these Berlingos, the engine is quite far back underneath the windscreen, under the scuttle panel, which makes access a bit fiddly and a bit difficult. So it might be a bit of a mission, this one. And I'm doing it on the drive, as always. In the dark, because the only time I really get to do this kind of thing is on a night time. So, wish me luck. But on the upside, it's not snowing. I've done clutches on this drive before in the snow. I've got the tools here I need. I've found somebody who can rebuild the gearbox if it is the gearbox. So we need to just get cracking, get it out. Wish me luck. Right, here we are. Under the bonnet of the Citroen 10 plate there, you can see. 1.6 diesel HDI. Not a bad engine really. It's fitted to every car under the sun in the Peugeot Citroen range. Minis, Volvos, Fords, all of them got this engine. But anyway, cutting to the chase. if you look directly down there, that windscreen scuttle is about halfway along that engine. There is awful lot of engine back there. See that box back there? It's actually the air filter. That was a nice design thought. Cheers, Citroen. Anyway, so there's all sorts of things that you can't see, never mind get to. And there's all sorts of things back there that we're going to need to get to. So that's why this one's probably going to be a bit of a pain. The gearbox is under all this nonsense, so we're going to have top cover off, pipes off, battery out. I have done a gearbox on a diesel Mini with the same engine quite recently, so I kind of know where I'm going with where the bolts should be, what sizes and things, what tools I'm going to need, etc. So that I'm not too worried about actually physically doing the job, but access, especially to the starter motor, is going to be fun and games. I'm going to see how far we can get tonight. I'm going to try and get most of this top stuff stripped off, see if I can see what I'm doing, make a plan of how we're going to go forward. I've got a few other things that I'd like to get done tonight, so I'm not going to break my back and try and get it all done in one night. There's no point in that. Yeah, and we'll go from there. Right, we're running into a first little hurdle here. I've just whipped that top cover off to get this intake pipe off. I noticed quite a lot of moisture around that number 4 injector. If you can see that compared to the next one along, see how discoloured it is. Just gonna see if I can decide what that is. I think that's diesel. Yeah, it's not easy because although it looks like it's quite wet, it's not actually. Is that the injector that's leaking? It's hard to tell. I think that's got a little diesel leak there. If the camera will focus, that'd be nice. We're going to have to investigate that, obviously. I'm going to get the gearbox out of the way. Possibly this little runoff pipe here. There's a little rubber seal just on the bottom of this yellow sticky up bit. Possibly that's leaking. Worst case, maybe even the injector itself. Something to bear in mind. Adding to the jobs list already. Okay, I've made a nice little discovery here. It didn't dawn on me before, but I've done work before on C4 Picassos, and you can't get to the top of the suspension because all the scuttle panels in the way. Pretty much exactly what we've got going on here. It just dawned on me that might actually be removable. So I've had a little look in there. There's another panel underneath this top piece, and if we look behind this sound deadening, as this pliers stick to my magnet, that lower piece there does just unclip and unbolt. So I think before we struggle on, I'm going to strip the wipers off, the top scuttle panel off, that sound deadening off, the lower scuttle panel off, and that should give us some more access. It probably isn't going to be enough, it isn't going to be perfect, but even if it can just shed a bit more light into there, or if I can get my head in or my hands in to feel what I'm doing, that will be a big benefit. So, all is not as bad as it seems, maybe. Good little tip here, if you ever need to take, this works for pretty much any car, if you ever need to take the wiper arms off, you need to make sure that they go back in the right position. If they're in the wrong position, either too far up, too far down, you can find that they actually crash into each other, or maybe when you turn the wipers on, it'll flick off the screen, or it'll come too far down and hit all of this, and it just becomes a bit of a pain. These will actually go in any position. There's no set position, there's no master spline in here, so it's very easy to get that wrong. So all you need to do, get yourself a roll of masking tape, peel a bit off before you disconnect anything, and run the tape along the top of the wiper blade on the windscreen, same each side, and that way when we take these off, I'm just going to have to close the bonnet. When we take these off, I'll know exactly where they were. When I come to put them back on. So I've already got the nuts off. So you see there, where that tape is exactly where that wiper ends. I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed. There we go, wiper arms are now off. Just needed a proper wiggle. You can see in the dirt where the wipers have been, so if you want to risk it, you can risk having a dirty windscreen and knowing where they've been, but I always like to put a bit of tape on, and there's no arguments about where that's been. A good little thing I've spotted here, it's a lovely thing to see as a mechanic, is those spindles have got copper grease on them. Difficult to see. It's not a great deal, which is probably a good thing. There, you can see that copper grease. So that stopped them spindles being seized on, which tells me two things. It tells me firstly, they've been off before. So somebody's been in there doing something. It's a 10-plate van with 140,000 miles on. It's probably had all sorts done up till now. And the other thing, whoever has been working on this has been looking after it. They've been smart enough to know that that could be a problem for somebody in the future. And they've been nice enough to blurry up the lens. Nice enough to do something about it. So hopefully, if they've been further in, whoever that mechanic was, thank you very much. If they've been further into this, hopefully there'll be other signs of good workmanship. Right, we are on to a winner. Got that scuttle panel off, and I can see to the back of the engine. We've still got this big intake duct here for the heater. I'm going to see how that is attached. Hopefully there's some bolts somewhere. Inside. Oh yeah, there it is, right in front of me. Little bolt there. We'll get that off, and then we'll be able to get the air filter box off. And then we'll be able to get in. This isn't going to be as bad as I thought. Okay then, I've stripped a bit more out of the engine bay of this Berlingo. Got obviously all that scuttle panel off. Do apologise about the flashing, my torch is about to die. I'm going to call it a night here for that reason. I do have a head torch, but like I said before, I'm not in a huge rush to smash this one out. So I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. But I've got that scuttle panel off. There's a few things dangling. This brake reservoir extension thing is just kind of sitting there out of the way. I've got the diesel filter loose. I haven't actually disconnected any pipes because I don't want any air to get in the system, because it can be a bit of a pain to start, and I don't want to get into issues I don't need right now. So I've disconnected that out of its little bracket, but I haven't actually took the pipes off. Battery's out, battery tray is out. Some wiring over here that sits on top of the battery I've disconnected, as well as this lead that bolts onto that little fuse plate. And to be honest, it doesn't look that bad. I can get to the gearbox mount in there. There's a couple of plugs I can see. The gear linkages are behind there, underneath all that pipage. So I'm going to have to work around the pipes. Same with the starter motor, the bolts go all over the place. There's one goes this way and two that go this way. So they're going to be fun to get to. Might be able to get them from underneath. The only problem I can see up till now is this. I can't reach this. It's not really a chassis leg, but this suspension subframe brace is going to stop the gearbox from coming down and out. Hopefully that unbolts, and it's not part of the subframe, and it isn't part of the front end. But we'll deal with that when we come to it. But yeah, all in all, what appeared to be an absolutely horrible job It's still a horrible job, but I've got a bit more space than I thought we had, so I'll take that as a win. I'm going to stop there for tonight. I'm going to carry on tomorrow, probably in the dark again, well, at least I'll have a torch that's charged up. See you soon. Right guys, we're back again, fully charged torch. I'm just on removing gear linkage, plugs, earth leads, etc. that are on the top of this gearbox before I get it jacked up. And I've just spotted something. I was looking down here to see what tool I needed to get that slave cylinder off. There we go, that's a good place. So, I was looking to see what tool I needed to get these off, are the Allen keys or the Torx, which was what was going through my mind. And then I spotted this, which looks like a bell housing bolt, which quite clearly isn't in. So I thought, that's worked its way loose, maybe it's even cross-threaded, it doesn't look particularly square, but better than that. It's not in at all. And on closer inspection, the hole it was in isn't threaded. But if I move the camera around, there's another hole just here, which doesn't have a bolt in it, which should. So at some point, this gearbox has definitely been off, clearly. Somebody has been trying to put the bolt in this hole and has, for whatever reason, missed and mistakenly put it in there. So this gearbox has definitely been off. Let's see if we can figure out why. This is the position you have to be in to get the top starter motor bolt out of a 1.6 diesel Berlingo. If you can see that, I'm fully in the engine bay there. That foot's not touching the floor. That's loose. I'm straddling the front bumper and I'm working all the way down here. You can't see. Underneath all these diesel pipes there is a ratchet just there going on to this top starter motor bolt, which goes the wrong way because it was far too easy for them to put it on this side. There we go. This is how far in I am. Had my head fully wedged under there. Cheers, Citroen. So we're under the Berlingo now. First thing I've noticed is there's oil absolutely everywhere, all the way at the back of the van. It looks like there's some engine oil leaking somewhere up there. I'll have to look into that as well as a separate issue. But more to the point, I think I know why. Well, I definitely know why this gearbox has failed. Because you can see there, put the light down, this here, where are we at? This here is like a little bracket that goes on over the drive shaft and gives the seal somewhere to run. There's no bolt in there. That bolt's missing. The next bolt up here is missing, and I can see into the gearbox. See that gap in the casing there, just to the left of the oil drip? That shouldn't be there at all. There should be bolts keeping that up tight. So for whatever reason, them bolts have fell out and the gearbox has leaked all its oil out, and that's why it's failed. Probably contributing to most of that oil that's now all under the van. So mystery solved as why is the gearbox failed. Not really sure why them bolts are missing. I haven't found them as of yet. I imagine they are out on the road somewhere. Hopefully this gearbox will live and can be rebuilt. Well, I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to call it a night, put my tools away, and carry on another night and try to get that box out. Wish me luck. Right, there we go. Victory at last. Gearbox is out. Big hole under there with no gearbox in it, because it's here. And good news is there's no holes in the casing that I can see. No holes in the diff casing. I've had a good check all the way around. I can actually hear the noise. I'm going to try and get it on camera for you. First thing I did check was play in this input shaft. And there's no play in that, which tells me that the bearings that hold the input shaft are still intact. But you can hear a bit of noise there. But the main noise is if I get my fingers in there and give it a good wiggling. There, can you hear that? There we go. Get the light back on for you. There. It looks like I'm doing unspeakable things to this gearbox. What I'm doing there is I've got my finger on the edge of the diff itself. And I can actually feel and hear the slack. That's the entire diff unit itself rattling up and down. So I reckon that is where the horrible noises are coming from. It's the same on this side. So, diagnosis confirmed. Failed diff bearings due to lack of oil, because it's all come out of that gap right there. So I'll get this gearbox off to the gearbox people and hopefully we can have it repaired. Obviously while I got the gearbox out, it would be foolish not to have a look at the clutch. The clutch on this wasn't horrific, it wasn't slipping, but it was a little bit high. You can see the rivets here. They're not super close to the top of this friction material, but we've come this far and it's a pain in the ass. So we're gonna put a new clutch in for the sake of another 100 quid or so. We're gonna put a clutch in. Good news is we have a solid flywheel, so we don't need to worry about changing that. It's a lifetime part. If it was a dual mass flywheel, I'd probably be changing that as well. But that's solid, so that can just stay put. So yeah, not as too bad as it could have been really. Just hope that the gearbox people can fix that. If not, I'll have to find another box. But for now, that's the end of this this little video. I'll do a part 2 once I've got the gearbox back, rebuild, and back in the car. So stay tuned, join me for part 2, gearbox saga. If you like this video, please do like, share, follow. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, Ed's Mini Empire. Hopefully we can get this fixed up. See you next time.